What a shocking breach. Top U.S. officials accidentally shared classified Yemen war plans with journalists, further raising alarm over national security. Was this a genuine mistake or a political strategy? Well, these and many more will be detailed in today's Flash News. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Tapita Akor. Let's begin. In an unprecedented security lapse, senior Trump administration officials mistakenly included a journalist from the Atlantic in a private messaging group where top-level war plans against Yemen's Iran-backed Houthis were being discussed. The revelation, first reported by The Atlantic on Monday, has sparked outrage among lawmakers, with Democratic leaders calling it a severe breach of national security and demanding a congressional investigation. But was this a simple mistake, or does it expose a deeper problem within Trump's national security team? Well, according to The Atlantic's editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg, he was unexpectedly added on March 13th to an encrypted chat group on the signal messaging app named Houthi PC Small Group. The group included some of the highest-ranking national security officials, including National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, his deputy Alex Wong, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, CIA Director General Ratcliffe, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. Also present was Joe Kent, Trump's nominee for National Counterterrorism Center Director, despite not yet being confirmed by the Senate. In one of the most damning aspects of the leak, Goldberg reported that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had shared detailed operational plans, including U.S. military targets, the type of weapons to be used, and the sequence of attacks. While The Atlantic chose to withhold specific details for security reasons, Goldberg called it a shockingly reckless use of an unsecured signal chat. When asked about the incident, let's hear what President Trump has to say.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of The Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
With the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis?
Right.
Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that. I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
The video you just watched signaled that President Trump has more pressing issues to deal with. However, a White House official later confirmed that an internal investigation had been launched. National Security Council spokesperson Brian Horns acknowledged that the chat group appeared to be authentic but downplayed the severity of the incident. The ongoing success of the Houthi operation demonstrates that there were no threats to our service members or national security. Still on this report, what has Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth got to say? Let's take a look.
Highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, or the fine people on both sides hoax, or suckers and losers hoax. So this is the guy that peddles in garbage. This is what he does. I would love to comment on the Houthi campaign because of the skill and courage of our troops. I've monitored it very closely from the beginning. And you see, we've been managing 4 years of deferred maintenance under the Trump administration. Our troops, our sailors were getting shot at as targets. Our ships couldn't sail through. And when they did shoot back, it was purely defensively or at shacks in Yemen. President Trump said, no more. We will reestablish deterrence, we will open freedom of navigation, and we will ultimately decimate the Houthis, which is exactly what we're doing as we speak from the beginning, overwhelmingly. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
A great rhetoric right there by the Defense Secretary. Meanwhile, Democratic lawmakers have wasted no time in calling for an investigation. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer called it one of the most stunning breaches of military intelligence in recent memory. He urged Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a Republican, to immediately look into the matter. Under U.S. law, mishandling classified information is a federal crime. Additionally, signal messages that were reportedly set to disappear raised concerns over violations of federal record-keeping laws. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who has been spearheading an internal crackdown on leaks, previously stated that unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. She is set to testify before the Senate Intelligence Committee this week, and the signal breach is expected to dominate the discussion. Well, despite this controversy, the White House has not indicated that any staffing changes are forthcoming. President Trump continues to have the utmost confidence in his national security team, including National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, White House Press Secretary told Reuters. But with growing bipartisan concern over how sensitive war plans ended in the hands of a journalist, this was just an embarrassing mistake. And it exposes a fundamental weakness in the Trump administration's handling of classified information. But then, is this probably just another round in the media? Think about that. Moving forward, Japan pushes for stronger security ties with India, South Korea. Is it a new Indo-Pacific strategy or a move against China? As geopolitical tensions in the Indo-Pacific rise, Japan has expressed its support for deeper security cooperation with South Korea and India, aligning itself with a broader U.S.-backed defense initiative. This comes just days after the Philippines military chief revealed that the existing Quad security group comprising the U.S., Japan, Australia, and Philippines was seeking to expand by bringing India and South Korea into its fold. But is this an effort to ensure regional stability, or is it a direct attempt to counter China's growing influence? Japan's Ministry of Defense released a statement on Monday affirming its commitment to strengthening security ties in the region, but stopped short of confirming whether it had formally approved the expansion of the Quad group. It is important to build networks among allies in like-minded countries organically and in a multi-layered manner, the ministry had said, adding that Japan was facing the most severe and complex security environment since the end of World War II. The ministry further emphasized that close cooperation with regional partners, including Australia, the Philippines, South Korea, and India, was crucial for achieving a free and open Indo-Pacific. However, it underscored that its alliance with the United States remained at the core of its security policy. Well, the comments come amid rising maritime confrontations between the Philippines and China in the disputed South China Sea, where Beijing has been accused of aggressive military maneuvers. The Philippines military chief, General Romeo S. Blunder, recently stated that Quad nations were actively considering India and South Korea as a new member. India and South Korea have yet to officially respond to the proposal, and their participation remains uncertain. Meanwhile, Christopher Elms, a spokesperson for the U.S. Embassy in India, spoke that Washington remains committed to working with its partners to advance a more secure and prosperous Indo-Pacific. Meanwhile, Australia's Defense Ministry declined to comment on the matter. But then, with China increasingly asserting its presence in the South China Sea and beyond, will this new security realignment strengthen regional stability or escalate tensions into a more broader confrontation? What's the U.S. saying about this? Let's take a look at a video of the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth on Indo-Pacific.
The Indo-Pacific shifting priorities to make sure we're deterring threats to the future. President Trump's been focused on that. Reestablishing the warrior ethos, rebuilding our military, and ultimately reestablishing deterrence is critically important. And so we're out here to talk to our commanders and, more importantly, meet with the troops all across the Indo-Pacific, and then our allies and partners, too, who are going to be a critical part of ensuring the future in this region is free. And so we're glad to be here. It's a beautiful day. Had a full work day on the plane. Now we've got a full work day here as well, and looking forward to it.
Still on this report, in a catastrophic turn of events today in South Korea, wildfires continue to rage across South Korea's southeastern region on Tuesday, that's today, forcing thousands to evacuate and threatening the historic Hahou village, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, with authorities designating affected areas as special disaster zones. The question arises, is South Korea facing an isolated environmental crisis? Or is this part of a larger pattern of climate-driven disasters? The city of Antong, home to 150,000 residents, issued an emergency evacuation order as flames edged dangerously close, just 10 kilometers away from Hahou village, an ancient Korean cultural site known for its traditional homes and deep historical significance. The blazes, fueled by strong winds and dry conditions, have already claimed at least 4 lives and destroyed hundreds of homes since they erupted over the weekend. Ancient Buddhist temples, some over 1,000 years old, have been reduced to ashes. So sad. Because this is just an old temple, it is so regrettable and heartbreaking that it has been burned down. Meanwhile, the acting president, Han Duck-soo, has vowed to deploy all available resources, including helicopters and emergency personnel, to contain the fires as quickly as possible. However, environmentalists warn that extreme weather conditions driven by climate change are making such disasters more frequent and difficult to control. The unfolding disaster comes as South Korea and other East Asian nations have experienced increasing climate-related crises, from typhoons to record-breaking heat waves. With rising global temperatures fueling wildfires worldwide, will South Korea's latest tragedy prompt a stronger regional response to climate change, or will it be another warning sign that goes ignored? We hope not. Well, a breaking news here. With the risks of human transmission, the outbreak of bird flu could be another pandemic. The highly pathogenic avian influenza, commonly known as bird flu, is no longer just a threat to birds. The virus has been increasingly detected in mammals, including livestock and wildlife, raising fears of potential human-to-human transmission. With cases now spreading across Europe and the Americas, scientists warn that a dangerous mutation could trigger a new global health crisis. But how close are we to a bird flu pandemic? And is the world prepared to contain it? While bird flu has primarily affected wild and captive bird species, recent cases in mammals have heightened concerns. The UK government confirmed its first case in sheep on Monday, marking a worrying development as livestock often interacts closely with humans. Other farm animals, including dairy cows and pigs, have also been infected, further increasing the risk of transmission. Also, pigs are of particular concern because they can act as a missing vessel for viruses, co-infected with both avian and human flu strains. This could lead to genetic mutations, creating a new virus strain that spreads more easily among humans. Scientists fear that if such a mutation occurs, it could set the stage for a pandemic similar to or worse than COVID-19. Meanwhile, the European Food Safety Authority and the U.S. Department of Agriculture have tracked bird flu cases in mammals between 2016 and 2025, showing a steady increase in infections. Most cases have been reported in North Korea, North America, and Europe, with outbreaks in foxes, seals, bears, and now livestock. So far, human infections have been rare, but hundreds of cases have been reported globally. Most infections have resulted from direct contact with infected birds or contaminated environments. But experts warn that the more the virus spreads among mammals, the greater the chances of adaptation for human-to-human transmission. Well, public health officials are calling for increased surveillance and biosecurity measures, especially in farms where close human-animal interactions occur. However, with climate change and habitat destruction driving wildfire closer to human populations, the challenge of controlling the virus is becoming even more complex. Well, coming to the climax of this report, with a rising number of mammal infections and increasing fears of mutation, is the world underestimating the risks of another pandemic just like the way we saw it in COVID-19? And if a new bird flu strain gains the ability to spread among humans, will global health systems be ready to respond? Well, as the world grapples in fear, this is another climate action that needs urgent attention. Until next time, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain on today's edition of Flash News. Remember, we'll be bringing you recent happenings from the home front on Undaunted at the top of the hour, 8 p.m. Until then, do have a pleasant day and stay safe.